The chain of command leads from the President through the Secretary of Defense down to the newest recruits. The United States Armed Forces are organized through the United States Department of Defense, which oversees a complex and complicated structure of joint command and control functions with many units reporting to various commanding officers. The following is an incomplete list of the various major military units, commands, and DoD offices and agencies, including civilian and military chains of command. Department of Defense. Secretary of Defense, Ashton Carter. Deputy Secretary of Defense, Robert O. Work. Office of the Secretary of Defense =. Under Secretary of Defense Comptroller Chief Financial Officer, Principal Deputy Under Secretary of Defense, Director for Program Analysis and Evaluation. Under Secretary of Defense for Acquisition, Technology and Logistics, Director of Defense Research and Engineering, Deputy Under Secretary of Defense, Deputy Under Secretary of Defense, Assistant to the Secretary of Defense, Director of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, Deputy Under Secretary of Defense, 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 Deputy Under Secretary of Defense. Under Secretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness, Assistant Secretary of Defense, Assistant Secretary of Defense, Assistant Secretary of Defense, Deputy Under Secretary of Defense, Deputy Under Secretary of Defense, Deputy Under Secretary of Defense. Under Secretary of Defense for Policy, Principal Deputy Under Secretary of Defense, Assistant Secretary of Defense, Assistant Secretary of Defense, Assistant Secretary of Defense, Deputy Under Secretary of Defense, Deputy Under Secretary of Defense, Defense Advisor, U.S. Mission NATO. Under Secretary of Defense for Intel, Assistant Secretary of Defense, Assistant Secretary of Defense, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs, General Counsel of the Department of Defense, Director of Operational Test and Evaluation, Assistant to the Secretary of Defense, Director of Administration and Management, Director of Net Assessment. Office of the Inspector General Inspector General of the Department of Defense, Gordon S. Hedel, Principal Deputy Inspector General, Dean of Instruction, EEO, Senior Military Officer, Assistant Inspector General for Administration and Management, Assistant Inspector General, Congressional Committee Liaison, General Counsel, Deputy Inspector General for Auditing, Principal Assistant Inspector General, Assistant Inspector General, Deputy Assistant Inspector General, Service Audit Agencies. Deputy Inspector General for Policy and Oversight, Assistant Inspector General, Assistant Inspector General, Assistant Inspector General, Director of Hotline, Director of AFU, Director of QMD, Director of TAD, Director of Data Mining, Service Inspector Generals. Deputy Inspector General for Investigations, Director for Investigations of Senior Officials, Director for Military Reprisal Investigation, Director for Civilian Reprisal Investigation, Director for Defense Criminal Investigative Service, Deputy Director for Defense Criminal Investigative Service. U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Command, Naval Criminal Investigative Service, Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Deputy Inspector General for Intelligence, Deputy Assistant Inspector General, Deputy Assistant Inspector General, National Reconnaissance Office, Defense Intelligence Agency, National Security Agency, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Organization of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and Joint Staff equals. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph Dunford, USMC, Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Paul J. Selva, USAF, Chief of Staff of the Army, General Mark A. Milley, USA, Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Robert Neller, USMC, Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral John Richardson, USN, Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Mark Welsh, USAF. Joint Staff, Assistant to the Chairman, Senior Enlisted Advisor of the Chairman, Director, Joint Staff, Manpower and Personnel, Joint Staff Intelligence, Operations, Logistics, Strategic Plans and Policy, Operational Plans and Interoperability, Force Structure Resources and Assessment, Directorate of Management. equals military departments equals Department of the Army. Secretary of the Army equals Office of the Secretary of the Army equals Under Secretary of the Army, Inspector General of the Army, Army Auditor General, Deputy Under Secretary of the Army, Deputy Under Secretary of the Army for Business Transformation, Chief, Legislative Liaison, Chief, Public Affairs, Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization Office, General Counsel of the Army, Administrative Assistant to the Secretary of the Army, Assistant 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 Secretary of the Army, Chief Information Officer, United States Army Network Enterprise Technology Command/Ninth Signal Command. Director, Army Staff, the United States Military Academy, United States Army Intelligence and Security Command, United States Army Test and Evaluation Command, United States Army Criminal Investigation Command, United States Army Medical Command, United States Army Military District of Washington, United States Army Corps of Engineers, United States Army Reserve Command, United States Army Acquisition Support Center. Equals the Army Staff equals Chief of Staff of the Army, Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, Surgeon General of the Army, Chief, National Guard Bureau, Chief, Army Reserve, Judge Advocate General, United States Army Provost Marshal General, Chief of Chaplains, Sergeant Major of the Army, Deputy Chief of Staff, Chief of Engineers, Deputy Chief of Staff, Assistant Chief of Staff, Installation Management, United States Army Installation Management Command. Deputy Chief of Staff, Deputy Chief of Staff, Deputy Chief of Staff, United States Army Training and Doctrine Command, United States Army Materiel Command, United States Army Forces Command, United States Army Africa, United States Army Central, United States Army Europe, United States Army North, United States Army South, United States Army Pacific, United States Army Special Operations Command, Military Surface Deployment and Distribution Command, United States Army Space and Missile Defense Command, Army Strategic Command, 8th United States Army. Department of the Navy. Secretary of the Navy equals Office of the Secretary of the Navy equals Under Secretary of the Navy, Chief of Information, Chief of Legislative Affairs, Auditor General, Assistant for Administration, Director of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Chief of Naval Research. Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Assistant Secretary of the Navy, General Counsel of the Navy, Chief Information Officer, Judge Advocate General of the Navy, Naval Inspector General, Director of Program Appraisal. Equals Office of the Chief of Naval Operations equals Chief of Naval Operations, Vice Chief of Naval Operations, Bureau of Naval Personnel, Bureau of Medicine and Surgery, Naval Sea Systems Command, Naval Air Systems Command, Naval Facilities Engineering Command, Naval Supply Systems Command, Space and Naval Warfare Systems Command, Strategic Systems Command, United States Naval Academy, Naval Education and Training Command, Naval Meteorology and Oceanography Command, Naval Legal Service Command, United States Naval Observatory, Naval Strike and Air Warfare Center, Naval Safety Center, Naval Security Group Command, Naval Reserve Forces, Operational Test and Evaluation Forces, Naval Special Warfare Command, U.S. Naval Forces Central Command, Naval Network Warfare Command, 1. U.S. Naval Forces Europe, Military Sea Lift Command, U.S. Fleet Forces Command, U.S. Pacific Fleet, Naval Installations Command, Director of Naval Nuclear Propulsion. Equals Headquarters Marine Corps equals Commandant of the Marine Corps, Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps. Department of the Air Force, Secretary of the Air Force, Deborah Lee James. Equals Office of the Secretary of the Air Force equals Under Secretary of the Air Force, Administrative Assistant, Auditor General, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force, Director of Communication, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force, Deputy Undersecretary of the Air Force, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force, Director of Public Affairs, Director, Legislative Liaison, Inspector General of the Air Force, General Counsel of the Air Force, Chief of Warfighting Integration, Chief Information Officer, Air Force Historian, Director of Test and Evaluation, Chief Scientist of the Air Force. The Air Staff equals Chief of Staff, Vice Chief of Staff, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Deputy Chief of Staff, 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 Director for Studies Analyses, Assessments and Lessons Learned, Chief of Chaplains, Judge Advocate General, Chief, Air Force Reserve, Chief of Safety, Surgeon General of the Air Force, Director, Air National Guard, Air Combat Command, Air Education and Training Command, Air Force Material Command, Air Force Reserve Command, Air Force Space Command, Air Force Special Operations Command, Air Force Cyber Command, Air Mobility Command, Pacific Air Forces. U.S. Air Forces in Europe. Combatant Commands U.S. Africa Command. Commander, USAFRICOM, General David M. Rodriguez, USA. U.S. Central Command. Commander, UCENTCOM, General James N. Mattis, USMC. U.S. European Command. Commander, USEUCOM, General Philip M. Breedlove, USAF, Deputy Commander, Vice Admiral Charles W. Martelio, USN, Chief of Staff, Major General Mark A. Barrett, USAF, Command Senior Enlisted Advisor, Fleet Master Chief Petty Officer Roy M. Maddox, Jr., USN. Order of Battle U.S. Army Europe, 7th U.S. Army V Corps, 2D Cavalry Regiment, 12th Combat Aviation Brigade, 170th Infantry Brigade, 172d Infantry Brigade, 173d Airborne Brigade Combat Team, 357th Air and Missile Defense Detachment. 21st Sustainment Command, 16th Sustainment Brigade, 18th Engineer Brigade, 18th Military Police Brigade, 405th Army Field Support Brigade. 5th Signal Command, 2D Signal Brigade, 7th Tactical Theatre Signal Brigade. 7th Army Joint Multinational Training Command, 66th Military Intelligence Brigade, 202d Military Police Group, Europe Regional Medical Command, Joint Task Force East, Romania, Multinational Task Force East, Kosovo. U.S. Northern Command. Commander, USNORTHCOM, General Charles H. Jacoby, Jr., USA, Deputy Commander, USNORTHCOM, Lieutenant General Frank J. Grass, USA, Chief of Staff, Major General Howard N. Thompson, USAF, Command Senior Enlisted Leader, Command Sergeant Major Robert Winsenred, USA. Order of Battle United States Northern Command, North American Aerospace Defense Command, Cheyenne Mountain Operations Center, 1st Air Force/Continental US NORAD Region, Eastern Air Defense Sector, 104th Fighter Wing, 125th Fighter Wing, Detachment 1. 158th Fighter Wing, Detachment 1, 119th Fighter Wing. Western Air Defense Sector, 142nd Fighter Wing, 119th Fighter Wing, 120th Fighter Wing, 144th Fighter Wing, Detachment 1. 148th Fighter Wing. 11th Air Force/Alaska NORAD Region, 611th Air and Space Operations Center, 176th Air Control Squadron Alaskan Air Defense Sector. 1 Canadian Air Division Canadian NORAD Region, U.S. Army North/U.S. Army Forces Command, Joint Force Headquarters National Capital Region, 1st and 4th Battalions, 3rd Infantry Regiment, Military District of Washington, 11th Wing/Air Force District of Washington, Naval District Washington, Marine Corps National Capital Region Command. Joint Task Force Alaska, JTF North and other JTFs. U.S. Pacific Command. Commander, USPACOM, Admiral Harry B. Harris, Jr., USN. Order of Battle United States Pacific Command, United States Army Pacific, United States Army Japan, 9th Mission Support Command, 10th Support Group, 17th Area Support Group, 300th Area Support Group. United States Army Alaska, 1st Brigade Combat Team, 25th Infantry Division, 4th Brigade Combat Team, 25th Infantry Division, 3rd Maneuver Enhancement Brigade, 16th Combat Aviation Brigade. United States Army Hawaii, 25th Infantry Division, 196th Infantry Brigade, 516th Signal Brigade. United States Pacific Fleet, 3rd Fleet, CTF-30/Battle Force, CTF-31/Combat Support Force, CTF-32/Patrol and Reconnaissance Force, CTF-33/Logistic Support Force, CTF-34/Submarine Force, CTF-35/Surface Combatant Force, CTF-36/Landing Force, CTF-37/Amphibious Force, CTF-38/Carrier Strike Force. 7th Fleet, CTF-70/Battle Force, CTF-71/Combat Support Force, CTF-72/Patrol and Reconnaissance Force, CTF-73/Logistic Support Force, CTF-74/Submarine Force, CTF-75/Surface Combatant Force, CTF-76/Amphibious Force, CTF-77/Carrier Strike Force, CTF-79/Landing Force. Naval Surface Forces, United States Pacific Fleet, Destroyer Squadron 1, Destroyer Squadron 7, Destroyer Squadron 15, Destroyer Squadron 21, Destroyer Squadron 23, Destroyer Squadron 28, Carrier Group 1, Carrier Group 3, Carrier Group 5, Carrier Group 7, Cruiser Destroyer Group 1, Cruiser Destroyer Group 3, Cruiser Destroyer Group 5, Surface Group Pac Norist, Surface Group Midpac, Logistics Group Westpac, Amphibious Group 1, Amphibious Group 3, Explosive Ordnance Disposal Group 1. Naval Submarine Forces, United States Pacific Fleet, Submarine Group 7, Submarine Group 9. Naval Air Forces, United States Pacific Fleet, Fleet Air, West Pacific, Airborne Early Warning Wing, VAW-112, VAW-113, VAW-115, VAW-116, VAW-117, VRC-30. Naval Region, Southwest, Naval Region, Northwest, Naval Region, Hawaii, Maritime Defense Zone Pacific, United States Naval Forces Marianas. Marine Forces Pacific, United States Pacific Air Forces, United States Forces, Japan, United States Forces, Korea, Alaskan Command, United States Army Alaska, 11th Air Force, United States Naval Forces, Alaska. Special Operations Command Pacific, Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies, Information Systems Support Activity, Pacific Automated Server Site Japan, Cruise Missile Support Activity, Special Intelligence Communications, Joint Intelligence Center Pacific, Joint Intelligence Training Activity Pacific, Joint Interagency Task Force West, Joint Task Force Full Accounting. U.S. Southern Command. Commander, USAFCOM, General Douglas M. Fraser, USAF, Deputy Commander, USAFCOM, Vice Admiral Joseph D. Kernan, USN, Chief of Staff, USAFCOM, Brigadier General Juan G. Ayala, USMC, Command Sergeant Major, USAFCOM, Sergeant Major Louis M. Espinal, USMC. Order of Battle equals, United States Southern Command, United States Army South, 1st Battalion, 228th Aviation Regiment, 56th Signal Battalion. United States Naval Forces Southern Command, Naval Surface Group 2, Destroyer Squadron 6, Destroyer Squadron 14. 2 Marine Expeditionary Force / United States Marine Corps Forces, South, 2nd Marine Division, 2nd Marine Logistics Group, 2nd Marine Air Wing, 2nd Marine Expeditionary Brigade, 4th Marine Expeditionary Brigade, 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit, 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit, 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit, Air Contingency Marine Air Ground Task Force. 12th Air Force/United States Southern Command Air Forces, 7th Bomb Wing, 28th Bomb Wing, 49th Fighter Wing, 355th Wing, 366th Wing, 388th Fighter Wing, 1st Air Support Operations Group, 3rd Combat Communications Group, 612th Air Operation Group, 820th Red Horse Squadron. Special Operations Command South, Southern Surveillance Reconnaissance Operations Center, Joint Interagency Task Force East, NAF Key West Florida, Joint Interagency Task Force West, Joint Task Force Guantanamo, Joint Task Force Bravo, 612th Air Base Squadron, Army Forces, Medical Elements, 1st Battalion, 228th Aviation Regiment, Joint Security Forces. Joint Task Force Piton. U.S. Joint Forces Command, disbanded. Order of battle equals. United States Army Forces Command. I Corps, 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 2nd Infantry Division, Fort Lewis, 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 2nd Infantry Division, Fort Lewis, 17th Field Artillery Brigade, Fort Lewis, Military Intelligence Brigade, Fort Lewis, 555th Engineer Brigade, Fort Lewis, 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command, Fort Lewis, 42nd Military Police Brigade, Fort Lewis, 62nd Medical Brigade, Fort Lewis. 3 Corps, 1st Armored Division, Fort Bliss, 1st Cavalry Division, Fort Hood, 1st Infantry Division, Fort Riley, 4th Infantry Division, Fort Carson, 3rd Cavalry Regiment, Fort Hood, 3 Corps Artillery, Fort Sill, 41st Fires Brigade, Fort Hood, 75th Fires Brigade, Fort Sill, 212th Fires Brigade, Fort Bliss, 214th Fires Brigade, Fort Sill. 36th Engineer Brigade, Fort Hood, 504th Battlefield Surveillance Brigade, Fort Hood, 89th Military Police Brigade, Fort Hood, 13th Sustainment Command, Fort Hood. 18 Airborne Corps, 3rd Infantry Division, Fort Stewart, 10th Mountain Division, Fort Drum, 82nd Airborne Division, Fort Bragg, 101st Airborne Division, Fort Campbell, 18th Fires Brigade, Fort Bragg, 20th Engineer Brigade, Fort Bragg, 525th Battlefield Surveillance Brigade, Fort Bragg, 16th Military Police Brigade, Fort Bragg, 44th Medical Brigade, Fort Bragg. 32nd Army Air and Missile Defense Command, 11th Air Defense Artillery Brigade, 31st Air Defense Artillery Brigade, 35th Air Defense Artillery Brigade, 69th Air Defense Artillery Brigade, 108th Air Defense Artillery Brigade, Detachment 1. Network Enterprise Technology Command/9th Army Signal Command, 11th Signal Brigade, 21st Signal Brigade, 5th Signal Command, 311th Signal Command, Multi-Component, 1st Signal Brigade. 335th Theater Signal Command, 160th Signal Brigade. 93rd Signal Brigade, 516th Signal Brigade. 52nd Ordnance Group, 111th Ordnance Group, National Training Center, 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment. Joint Readiness Training Center, Warrior Brigade. 1st Army Division East 157th Infantry Brigade Spartan, 158th Infantry Brigade Warrior, 174th Infantry Brigade Patriot, 188th Infantry Brigade Battle Ready, 205th Infantry Brigade Bayonet, 177th Armored Brigade Mudcats, 4th Cavalry Brigade Sabre, 72nd Field Artillery Brigade Warrior Eagle. 1st Army Division West 120th Infantry Brigade, 166th Aviation Brigade, 181st Infantry Brigade Eagle, 191st Infantry Brigade, 402nd Field Artillery Brigade, 479th Field Artillery Brigade, 5th Armored Brigade, 189th Infantry Brigade Bayonet. 28th Infantry Division, 34th Infantry Division, 35th Infantry Division, 38th Infantry Division, 42nd Infantry Division, 29th Infantry Division, 155th Armored Brigade, 27th Infantry Brigade, 32nd Infantry Brigade, 76th Infantry Brigade, 256th Infantry Brigade, 631st Field Artillery Brigade, 168th Engineer Group, 43rd Military Police Brigade, 244th Theatre Aviation Brigade, 31st Chemical Brigade, 228th Signal Brigade, 261st Signal Brigade, 184th Transportation Group, 78th Division, 85th Division, 87th Division, 36th Infantry Division, 57th Field Artillery Brigade, 115th Engineer Group, 300th Military Intelligence Brigade, 75th Division, 91st Division, 67th Area Support Group, United States Army Reserve Command, 63rd Regional Readiness Command, 104th Division, 653rd Area Support Group, 2nd Medical Brigade. 70th Regional Readiness Command, 654th Area Support Group. 77th Regional Readiness Command, 800th Military Police Brigade, 455th Chemical Brigade, 98th Division, 301st Area Support Group, 8th Medical Brigade. 77th Infantry Division, 81st Regional Readiness Command, 100th Division, 108th Division, 926th Engineer Group, 415th Chemical Brigade, 81st Regional Support Group, 171st Area Support Group, 640th Area Support Group, 641st Area Support Group, 642nd Area Support Group, 1st Headquarters Brigade, 332nd Medical Brigade, 5th Medical Group. 88th Regional Readiness Command, 84th Division, 300th Military Police Command, 303rd Ordnance Group, 88th Regional Readiness Group, 643rd Area Support Group, 645th Area Support Group, 646th Area Support Group, 330th Medical Brigade. 89th Regional Readiness Command, 95th Division, 166th Aviation Brigade, 561st Corps Support Group, 917th Corps Support Group, 326th Area Support Group, 648th Area Support Group, 331st Medical Group. 90th Regional Readiness Command, 647th Area Support Group, 90th Regional Support Group. 94th Regional Readiness Command Devons RFTA, MA, Fort Lee, Virginia, 167th Area Support Group, 804th Medical Brigade. 96th Regional Readiness Command, 99th Regional Readiness Command, 220th Military Police Brigade, 367th Military Police Group, 80th Division, 38th Ordnance Group, 464th Chemical Brigade, 475th Quartermaster Group, 656th Area Support Group, 309th Medical Group, 99th Headquarters Brigade. U.S. Air Force Air Combat Command equals 1st Air Force, 9th Air Force, 1st Fighter Wing, 33rd Fighter Wing, 4th Fighter Wing, 20th Fighter Wing, 820th Security Forces Group, 5th Combat Communications Group. 12th Air Force, 7th Bomb Wing, 28th Bomb Wing, 366th Fighter Wing, 388th Fighter Wing, 27th Fighter Wing, 301st Fighter Wing, 49th Fighter Wing, 355th Wing, 507th Air Refueling Wing. 10th Air Force, 917th Wing, 419th Fighter Wing, 482d Fighter Wing, 442d Fighter Wing, 926th Fighter Wing, 920th Rescue Wing. Air Warfare Center, 53rd Wing, 57th Wing, 505th Command and Control Wing, 99th Air Base Wing. Air National Guard, 131st Fighter Wing, 159th Fighter Wing, 113th Wing, 114th Fighter Wing, 115th Fighter Wing, 122nd Fighter Wing, 127th Wing, 132nd Fighter Wing, 138th Fighter Wing, 140th Wing, 150th Fighter Wing, 174th Reconnaissance Wing, 177th Fighter Wing, 180th Fighter Wing, 181st Intelligence Wing, 183rd Fighter Wing, 187th Fighter Wing, 188th Fighter Wing, 192nd Fighter Wing, 169th Fighter Wing, 103d Airlift Wing, 104th Fighter Wing, 110th Fighter Wing, 111th Fighter Wing, 124th Wing, 175th Wing, 106th Rescue Wing, 129th Rescue Wing, 147th Reconnaissance Wing, 163rd Reconnaissance Wing, 102nd Intelligence Wing, 184th Intelligence Wing. United States Fleet Forces Command equals 2nd Fleet, Task Force 20, Theodore Roosevelt Strike Group / Carrier Strike Group 2, Harry S. Truman Strike Group / Carrier Strike Group 10, John F. Kennedy Strike Group / Carrier Strike Group 6, Eisenhower Strike Group / Carrier Strike Group 8, Enterprise Strike Group / Cruiser Strike Group 12, George Washington Strike Group, Carrier Strike Group 14. Task Force 21 / Patrol and Reconnaissance Force Atlantic Fleet, Task Force 22 / Amphibious Group 2, Kearsarge Expeditionary Strike Group / Expeditionary Strike Group 6 / Amphibious Squadron 8, Saipan Expeditionary Strike Group / Expeditionary Strike Group 4 / Amphibious Squadron 2, Wasp Expeditionary Strike Group / Expeditionary Strike Group 2 / Amphibious Squadron 4, Battalion Expeditionary Strike Group, Naval Coastal Warfare Group 2, Tactical Air Control Group 2, Naval Beach Group 2. Task Force 23, Task Force 24, Task Force 25 / Combat Logistics Squadron 2, Task Force 26 / Patrol and Reconnaissance Force Atlantic Fleet, Task Force 28, Carrier Group 4 / Carrier Striking Force. Task Force 40 / Naval Surface Force Atlantic Fleet, Combat Logistics Squadron 2. Task Force 41 / Naval Air Force Atlantic Fleet, Fighter Wing Atlantic Fleet, Strike Fighter Wing Atlantic Fleet, Sea Control Wing Atlantic Fleet, Helicopter Anti-Submarine Wing Atlantic Fleet, Helicopter Anti-Submarine Light Wing Atlantic Fleet, Helicopter Sea Combat Wing Atlantic Fleet, Helicopter Sea Combat Squadron 2, Helicopter Sea Combat Squadron 22, Helicopter Sea Combat Squadron 26, Helicopter Sea Combat Squadron 28, Helicopter Sea Combat Squadron 84, Helicopter Mine Countermeasures Squadron 14, Helicopter Mine Countermeasures Squadron 15, Airborne Mine Countermeasures Weapons Systems Training School, Helicopter Sea Combat Weapons School Atlantic, Skipskolant. Airborne Early Warning Wing Atlantic Fleet, Reserve Carrier Air Wing 20. Task Force 42 / Naval Submarine Force Atlantic Fleet, Submarine Group 2, Naval Submarine Support Center. Task Force 43, Task Force 44 / Coast Guard Atlantic Area, Task Force 45 / Fleet Marine Forces Atlantic, Task Force 46, Task Force 48, Task Force 80. Task Force 81 / Patrol and Reconnaissance Force Atlantic Fleet, Task Force 82, Task Force 83, Task Force 84 / Naval Submarine Force Atlantic Fleet, Task Force 85 / Combat Logistics Squadron 2, Task Force 86 / Patrol and Reconnaissance Force Atlantic Fleet, Patrol and Reconnaissance Wing 5, Patrol and Reconnaissance Wing 11, Reserve Patrol Wing. Task Force 87, Task Force 88, Task Force 89, Task Force 125, Task Force 137, Task Force 138, Task Force 139, Task Force 142. United States Marine Corps Forces Command equals 2 Marine Expeditionary Force, 2nd Marine Division, 2nd Marine Expeditionary Brigade, 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing, 2nd Marine Logistics Group. Marine Forces Reserve, 4th Marine Division, 4th Marine Air Wing, 4th Marine Logistics Group, Anti-Terrorism Battalion. U.S. Forces Azores equals 65th Air Base Wing. Special Operations Command Joint Forces Command. U.S. Special Operations Command. Commander, USACOM, Admiral Eric T. Olson, USN. Order of Battle equals, United States Special Operations Command, Army Special Operations Command, 75th Ranger Regiment, 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, Special Forces Command, Special Operations Support Command, John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center, 4th Psychological Operations Group, 95th Civil Affairs Brigade. Naval Special Warfare Command, Special Warfare Group 1, Special Warfare Group 2, Special Boat Squadron 1, Special Boat Squadron 2, Naval Special Warfare Center. Air Force Special Operations Command, 919th Special Operations Wing, 18th Flight Test Squadron, Air Force Special Operations Command Air Support Operations Squadron, United States Air Force Special Operations School, 720th Special Tactics Group, 16th Special Operations Wing, 193d Special Operations Wing, 352nd Special Operations Group, 353rd Special Operations Group. Marine Special Operations Command, Marine Special Operations Advisor Group, 1st Marine Special Operations Battalion, 2nd Marine Special Operations Battalion, Marine Special Operations Support Group, Marine Special Operations School. Joint Special Operations Command. Task Force 6-26, Task Force 145. 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment, Delta, Special Warfare Development Group, 24th Special Tactics Squadron. Acquisitions and Logistics Center. U.S. Strategic Command. Commander, USTRATSOM, General Kevin P. Chilton, USAF, Deputy Commander, USTRATSOM, Lieutenant General C. Robert Bob Keeler, Chief of Staff, Major General Howard B. Bromberg, Command Master Chief, Fleet Master Chief William N. Nissen. Order of Battle equals, United States Strategic Command, Joint Information Operations Center, Strategic Communications Wing January 20th Air Force, 90th Space Wing, 91st Space Wing, 341st Space Wing. 8th Air Force, 14th Air Force/U.S. Space Air Force, 21st Space Wing, 30th Space Wing, 45th Space Wing, 50th Space Wing, 614th Space Operations Group, 460th Air Base Wing. Naval Submarine Forces, Submarine Force Atlantic Fleet, Submarine Group 10. Submarine Force Pacific Fleet, Submarine Group 9. Air Force Space Command, 20th Air Force, 14th Air Force/U.S. Space Air Force. Fleet Forces Command, Naval Submarine Forces. U.S. Army Space and Missile Defense Command/U.S. Army Forces Strategic Command, 100th Missile Defense Brigade, 1st Space Brigade. Marine Forces Strategic Command, U.S. Naval Network Warfare Command, Joint Task Force Global Network Operations. U.S. Transportation Command. Commander, USTRANSCOM, General Paul J. Selva, USAF. Order of Battle equals, U.S. Transportation Command, Air Mobility Command 18th Air Force, 15th Expeditionary Mobility Task Force, 60th Air Mobility Wing, 62nd Airlift Wing, 317th Airlift Group, 375th Airlift Wing, 22nd Air Refueling Wing, 92nd Air Refueling Wing, 19th Air Refueling Wing, 615th Contingency Response Wing, 715th Air Mobility Support Group. 21st Expeditionary Mobility Task Force, 436th Airlift Wing, 305th Air Mobility Wing, 437th Airlift Wing, 43d Airlift Wing, 314th Airlift Wing, 89th Airlift Wing, 6th Air Mobility Wing, 19th Air Refueling Group, 621st Contingency Response Wing, 721st Air Mobility Operations Group. 4th Air Force, 433d Airlift Wing, 445th Airlift Wing, 349th Air Mobility Wing, 452d Air Mobility Wing, 446th Airlift Wing, 932d Airlift Wing, 434th Air Refueling Wing, 459th Air Refueling Wing, 507th Air Refueling Wing, 916th Air Refueling Wing, 931st Air Refueling Group, 939th Air Refueling Wing, 927th Air Refueling Wing, 940th Air Refueling Wing. 22nd Air Force, 94th Airlift Wing, 302d Airlift Wing, 315th Airlift Wing, 439th Airlift Wing, 440th Airlift Wing, 512th Airlift Wing, 908th Airlift Wing, 910th Airlift Wing, 911th Airlift Wing, 914th Airlift Wing, 934th Airlift Wing, 514th Air Mobility Wing. Air National Guard Airlift, 135th Airlift Group, 105th Airlift Wing, 107th Airlift Wing, 109th Airlift Wing, 118th Airlift Wing, 123d Airlift Wing, 130th Airlift Wing, 133d Airlift Wing, 136th Airlift Wing, 139th Airlift Wing, 143d Airlift Wing, 145th Airlift Wing Charlotte IAP, NC, 146th Airlift Wing, 152d Airlift Wing, 153d Airlift Wing, 164th Airlift Wing, 165th Airlift Wing, 166th Airlift Wing, 167th Airlift Wing, 172d Airlift Wing, 179th Airlift Wing, 182d Airlift Wing. Air National Guard Aerial Refueling, 101st Air Refueling Wing, 108th Air Refueling Wing, 117th Air Refueling Wing, 121st Air Refueling Wing, 126th Air Refueling Wing, 134th Air Refueling Wing, 137th Air Refueling Wing, 141st Air Refueling Wing, 151st Air Refueling Wing, 157th Air Refueling Wing, 161st Air Refueling Wing, 171st Air Refueling Wing, 185th Air Refueling Wing, 186th Air Refueling Wing, 190th Air Refueling Wing. Military Sea Life Command, Sea Life Logistics Command Atlantic, Sea Life Logistics Command Pacific, Sea Life Logistics Command Europe, Sea Life Logistics Command Central, Sea Life Logistics Command Far East, Prepositioning Force, Combat Prepositioning Force, Afloat Prepositioning Ships Squadron 4. Maritime Prepositioning Force, Maritime Prepositioning Ship Squadron 1, Maritime Prepositioning Ship Squadron 2, Maritime Prepositioning Ship Squadron 3. Sea Life Force, Naval Fleet Auxiliary Force. Military Surface Deployment and Distribution Command Alexandria, Virginia, 143d Sustainment Command, 7th Transportation Brigade, 32nd Transportation Group, 300th Transportation Group, 336th Transportation Group, 375th Transportation Group. 1179th Deployment Support Brigade, 1190th Deployment Support Brigade, 1394th Deployment Support Brigade, 1176th Transportation Terminal Brigade, 1185th Transportation Terminal Brigade, 1192nd Transportation Terminal Brigade, 1186th Transportation Terminal Brigade, 1189th Transportation Terminal Brigade, 1395th Transportation Terminal Brigade, 1397th Transportation Terminal Brigade, 595th Transportation Brigade, 596th Transportation Brigade, 597th Transportation Brigade, 598th Transportation Brigade, 599th Transportation Brigade. See also: United States Army, United States Navy, United States Air Force, United States Marine Corps. References. External links: U.S. Armed Forces Order of Battle, June 2008.